Say hello, Piper. Hey guys, it's Fowler. I'm back with your daily lesson on trigonometry today. So yesterday you guys were setting up right triangle trig ratios. So your answers were fractions, okay? Today we're actually going to be solving for sides, and we're going to have angles and sides. We're still going to look at those opposite, hypotenuse, and adjacent things, but we're going to be solving today. So you're definitely going to need a calculator. So it doesn't matter which one you have. I'm going to show you what calculators I'm going to use, and let's get to it. So I've got my graphing calculator, and the first thing you want to check on here is if you hit mode, you want to make sure we're in degree mode if you're using your own graphing calculator. And I'm going to exit that. Okay, I've got my notes here for today, just one page. And then if I didn't have a graphing calculator, I have the Desmos here pulled up. We're not going to do start graphing. We're going to look at the scientific calculator down here, which looks like this on the screen. You guys can pull it up, and you want to make sure it's also in degree mode, not radian, degree. Okay, once that's done, we're ready to go. So trigonometry is still the study of sides and ratios. We have those three trig functions. There's sine, not sin, sine, cosine, and tangent. Okay, and that saying was what again? That's right. Some old hippie caught another hippie tripping on applesauce. Yes, applesauce, not acid, applesauce. Okay, so let's look at the notes. All right, so here are my notes for the day. I know it's just problems, but you want to make sure whatever you're using, you are in degree mode, and you will definitely need a calculator. Okay? All right, so we're going to look at the problems today, and we're actually going to be solving for sides. So in this problem number 1 here, I have my angle. I'm going to circle him. He is 28 degrees. We've got the 19. Let's see, that's our hypotenuse. Okay, and we've got x, which is the side we're looking for. Okay, compared to our angle, is x the adjacent or the opposite? That's right, it's the opposite. So when we're solving for sides, we're going to set up a trig ratio, okay, and solve. That means we're going to figure out which trig function based on what we're given, our labeled side and then our x value or our missing side. So the trig function that deals with hypotenuse and opposite, let's see. Some old hippie caught another hippie tripping on applesauce. So we want the one that deals with the hypotenuse and the opposite. So hypotenuse is these two, opposite is just this one. So we're going to do a sine. So how we write this out in our problem is sine of our angle, 28. So sine of 28. Those two are together. We cannot separate them right now. They have to be together. Okay, it's not multiplying this sine by 28, but it is sine of 28. Okay, equals opposite over hypotenuse. The opposite for this guy is our x, divided by our hypotenuse, which is 19. So if we are solving for x, all we're going to do is try and get rid of that 19, so x is by itself. Well, x is being divided by 19. We want to use the inverse operation. So opposite of division is multiplication. So we're going to times both sides by 19. So right here, I'm just going to write 19 times sine of 28. And this right here, this whole thing, is what I'm going to type into my calculators. I mean, you'll only do one, but I'll show you in both. So I type in my 19 times sine. Sine has its own button, it's right here. And notice there's a parenthesis, so we'll type in our 28 degrees and close parenthesis. So that's exactly what I type in the calculator. I hit enter, and it's going to give me what x equals. All right, and I like to round to the hundreds place, okay? I know it says round to the 10th, but I'm a big fan of hundredths. So that 9 is going to round the 1 up, so it'll be 8.92 as our final answer. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to do it in here. All right, we'll type in that 19. I'll hit the sign button as well, and look how it has this parentheses there. So we're going to write 28 degrees. And your answer shows up right there. It is the exact same thing we saw. So it is just what we were doing. Okay? Piper says hello. All right, let's go to the next one. Okay, so in number 2, let's see our angle we want to identify first. Okay, now we want to label our sides. Well, the right angle's there, which means this one's the hypotenuse, and we do not have him, so we're not going to write him in. Okay, so our angle here, x is what compared to our angle? Opposite, adjacent, or hypotenuse? Let's see, it's not touching the angle, so it is the opposite. And that makes 32 the adjacent. So when we set up our trig ratio, we want to have one that deals with our adjacent and opposite. So those both have hypotenuse, so it can't be those. It has to be tan because that's got opposite and adjacent in it. So I'll write out tan of my angle, which is 41 degrees, equals our opposite, which is x, divided by our adjacent, 32. Now we want to solve and get x by itself. Okay? Numbers on the bottom, so x is being divided by 32, so we will multiply 32 to both sides. So in my calculators, I'll type in 32 times tan of 41. Okay, so back to this guy over here. 32 times tan of 41 degrees, and we're in degree mode. Close. And it gives us our answer. We're looking at 27.8. Does that 1 stay or round up? It rounds up to 2. 27.82. And I'll box in that answer. Okay? So let's go to the next problem. Our angle right here is 21 degrees. Okay, so we want to label our sides with respect to the angle. So let's see if we have the hypotenuse first. There's the right angle. Across from it is our hypotenuse. We do have a label there, so we got to write hypotenuse in. And x here, is that adjacent to our angle or opposite? Yep, it's adjacent. So we want to find which trig function deals with our hypotenuse and our adjacent. So hypotenuse is one of these two. Adjacent makes us do cosine. So cosine of our angle, which is 21 degrees, cosine 21 equals adjacent over hypotenuse. Caught another hippie. Another is x. Our hippie is 26. So 26 on the bottom. We're going to multiply it over to get x by itself. So we'll type in 26 times cosine of 21 degrees. And that will give us our answer. So let's go over to our calculator. Okay, 26 times cosine of 21. Okay, and it gives us our answer of 24.27. Does the 7 round up to 8 or stay? That's right, the 3 is less than 5, so we'll stay at 27. So our answer, final answer is 24.27. Okay, let's go to the next one, right below it this time. Number 5. So first step first, circle our angle. Check to see if we have the hypotenuse, so opposite of our right angle, the hypotenuse this time is labeled x. Okay, and then our other number, 15, is 15 opposite our angle or adjacent? Well, it's not touching the angle, so it is opposite. So we need to decide which trig function deals with hypotenuse and opposite. So is it some old hippie, or is it caught another hippie, or tripping on applesauce? Hypotenuse and opposite. It is sine. Some old hippies. So sine of 33 equals our opposite, which is 15, divided by x, our hypotenuse. Now, this one is a little different, okay? Our x is on the bottom this time. So, for ones where x is on the bottom, what we're gonna do is we're gonna change this guy into a fraction over 1, and we're gonna cross multiply and solve. So when I cross multiply, we've got 1 times 15, which is 15, equals x times sine of 33. Okay, we got one step. We want to get x by itself, so we have x being multiplied by sine of 33. We need to do the opposite of multiply, so we will divide everything by sine 33. So what we type in the calculator is 15 divided by sine 33. Okay, there is no need to write it in a fraction bar. You guys could just do the division symbol between it. You do not have to put it in parentheses because sine 33 is together. It's like one term. They're married, you can't separate them. There is no divorce option here. So 15 divided by sine 33. And we will type that in over here. 15 divide, oh, it does put it as a fraction bar. Interesting. I didn't know it did that. By sine 33. Okay, so that's how it looks in Desmos calculator. And we get 27.54. Okay, in my calculator over here, we'll do the same thing. Okay, but I'll type it in how I usually type it in. 15 divided by sine 33. Okay, it could look like that. That is perfectly acceptable. Or you could type in the other way. And we get the same thing, 27.5411, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Next problem, let's see, how's about number 6? So same thing here, identify your angle. Let's see if we have the hypotenuse. So there's the right angle, it's pointing to our hypotenuse, that's x, so yes, we're gonna use the hypotenuse here. And then 36, is that the opposite or the adjacent? Well, it's touching our angle, so it is adjacent. So which trig function deals with our adjacent and hypotenuse? Sine, cosine, or tangent? Cosine's right, that's a over h. So we do cosine of 43 equals, okay, cosine adjacent over hypotenuse. So it should be 36 over x. Okay, x is on the bottom again, so we'll write it as a fraction and cross multiply. So 1 times 36 is 36. And then we've got x times cosine 43. To get x by itself, we need to undo that multiplication, so we'll divide by cosine of 43. So that is what I'm going to type into the calculator. So let's go back to the Desmos. 36 divided by cosine 43. Okay, and let's see, we get 36 divided by cosine 43. We get 49.22. Okay, so we write x equals 49.22. I'm going to box it in. Now, logically, does that make sense? Okay, 49.22 is the hypotenuse. It's the longest side, so it is bigger than the one we have. Okay, that's one thing you want to check. And you want to make sure if you are getting a decimal like 0.67, I don't know about you, but our triangles are probably going to have sides that are larger than 1. So if you get that, you need to make sure you are in the degree mode and not the radian mode. Where radian mode is going to give you some ungodly small number, and that's not okay. So let's do another problem. I think this one will be a good one to do, number 7. Identify our angles, so I'm going to circle them. We've got 72 degrees. So let's check to see if we have the hypotenuse. So there's the right angle. This is the hypotenuse. There is nothing labeled there, so we're not going to use the hypotenuse for this one. So our sides, x right here, he's touching our angle, so he's the adjacent. And that means that 25 is the opposite. So which trig function do you want to use with adjacent and opposite? Sine, cosine, or tangent? Yep, we're tripping. So tangent of 72, tripping on, so O first, applesauce, x. Again, we've got x on the bottom, so we want to cross multiply. So 25 times 1 is 25. And then we've got x times tan of 72. Okay. Now we want to get x by itself. Opposite of multiply, we divide. Okay, so in our calculators, we're going to type in 25 equals tan of 72. You guys do it. I won't give you the answer. I already set it up for you. Okay. Please, someone comment with that answer, and I will give you a gold star for the day. So, things you want to remember. Identify your angle first. Label your sides with what you got. Okay? That will help you decide which trig function to use. Set up your problem. You're either going to you're going to multiply the bottom number over, or if the bottom number is x, you're going to cross multiply. Let me draw that down here. So trig function, sine of a equals some number over x. If x is on top, multiply the number over. If x is on the bottom, cross multiply, and then divide. Okay? X on top, multiply number over. X on bottom, cross multiply, and divide. Understood? X on top, multiply your number over. X on bottom, cross multiply, and divide. Okay, you guys have an exit ticket today. It's attached to the Google form, so you need to fill it out. There's a couple problems on yesterday's assignment, and I just want to check to make sure you understand what you're doing. And there's basically one problem on today's, okay? Try your best, and then there's an IXL to practice. I miss you guys dearly. Piper says bye.